Hey everyone, and welcome to your Java example on classes and objects. So, what I'd like to do in this tutorial is kind of go over just basically how to create a class in Java. An example, what I'd like to create is an example NFL team class. And some of the things that I'd like to have on it are like the team name, the division, the rank in the division, and the record, so the number of wins and losses. I'd also like a class level variable, a static variable on the league that they're in. So every team will be an NFL league, so the league is going to be just the NFL. So to begin this, I'm going to create a class called team, and I'm going to create a public string. And we're going to call this name, so it's the team name. I'm going to set these all in our regular program. I'm going to create another public string called division. So there's a few divisions in the NFL, like the Browns are, for example, in the AFC North. Create an int called the rank, and we are going to create an array list of type strings. And this is going to be the record, right? So the record is going to be the wins and losses, but it's going to be an array of the wins and losses. So it'll be like win, loss, or win, loss, or whatever. And then what I'd also like to do is I'll create a public static string. It's just called the league. And also these are all going to be public, and we're going to get into public versus private next week. We can discuss, the difference between those things in the next couple videos. This video is mainly concentrated on the relationship of classes and objects and static members. So let's instantiate our class. We're going to use our team class name as the type, and our variable will be called, we'll call it Cleveland. And we're going to set it equal to a new team, so it's going to be Cleveland's football team. Now, obviously, the name of that team is going to be called the Browns, right? The division of that team, like I said before, we are in the AFC North. And the rank, we are last out of 4 currently. At the time of the filming of this video, we are last. And then let's create our win-loss record here. I'm going to do a little shortcut. We have a string. Okay, so I just realized I'm accessing division and not record. So that makes a difference. Okay, so the record of the Browns, this is just like a shortcut that I'm using. We could also, just initialize it to a new array list and add it like we had done in previous videos. But for this, I just wanted to do a quick shorthand. We had so the Browns record, we started off to a rough start, had a few wins, then we had a couple losses, we had another win, and then we had another loss, right? Okay, and that's where we are in the season so far. It is there. Now, so this is our class, and it's all filled out now. So we know now, we don't have the league filled out yet. I'm going to do something with that in just a second, but we've used all of our non-static member variables, right? We know that the Cleveland's team name is called the Browns. They're in the AFC North. They're ranked last or 4th, and here's their record. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to create, we didn't really get into methods that much, and we're really going to discuss them a lot next week, but I'm going to create a quick method. It's called void, and we're going to say print print name, or we'll just say print, right? This will be just the print method. And we will, so we will do a system out. Sorry, I think this void has to be lowercase. We'll do system.out.println. And what we're going to print here is we're going to print we'll say name. So it's going to say for example, the Browns are a football team in the, and then we're going to print out the league. Cool. Okay. So what I'm going to do too is I'm going to, after we filled out this entire object, I'm going to call print on this. It's going to call this method. I'm going to also, before we do anything, call our static variable. I'm going to set this to say NFL. Cool. All right, so let's really quickly run our program and see how this goes. Cool. All right, so we have all of our stuff here, and we have the Browns are a football team in the NFL. Okay, that's a great start. I'd also like to do one more thing. I'd like to create another team real quick, and we will call this, I don't know, Baltimore. I think that's how you spell Baltimore. We'll create a new team, and we will say Baltimore.name is equal to the Ravens. And they're actually in the same, we're just going to copy this. I'm just going to copy the rest of this. And I don't know what their record is off the top of my head, but they're also in the AFC North. I think they're first right now. And we're just going to say that their record is the same, even though they have way more wins. I'm also going to call print on this. Oops. So I got to switch this to Baltimore. Baltimore. Now we filled out the Baltimore's. We filled out Baltimore's object here. And I'm going to run this again, and I just want to illustrate something really quick. So you can see that it says the Browns are a football team in the NFL, and it says the Ravens are a football team in the NFL. That's interesting because we have this static method here. And I just wanted to create this print method and this other object real quick to show that we assigned team.league to equal the NFL. Remember, a league in this situation is a static variable. So this league, there's only one of these for the entire class. So even though we created separate objects here, when they access league in their print methods, which are separate, they actually access the same static variable, right? So the static variable gets changed once for the entire class, whereas member variables are separate, right? And they get changed uniquely. Something else that I'd like to do in our print method is I want to now print out our record and a few of these, and our rank as well. So we're going to do system.out.println, and we're going to say they are ranked. And we'll print rank, and we'll say in the, and we're going to put in our division here. From there on, I'm going to create a for each loop, and I'm going to put, we'll say result of record, and I'm going to actually create system.out over here. This team's, we'll say here's this team's record, and we're going to print out the record. So what we're doing here is we're just printing out the entire object kind of how we want to. And so we're going to say system out print line, and we are going to print out result. And so what this will do is it'll loop through all of the results in our record, and it'll print them out, which is really useful. So let's switch. I'm not sure what the Ravens record is. I'm just going to switch it all to, switch a couple more of these to wins. Let's just say that they lost their first game. I really don't know what it is off the top of my head, but okay, cool. So let's print this out, or let's run this. I'm going to clear this terminal, and let's run this program and see what happens. Cool. So let's go to the top here of our printout, and it says the Browns are a football team in the NFL. They are ranked 4th in the AFC North. Here's this team's record: loss, win, win, loss, loss, win, loss. There it ends it. And then we access our Baltimore print method, and it says the Ravens are a football team in the NFL. They are ranked 1 in the AFC North. Here's this team's record, which just loss, win, 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 all the way through. And there you have it. So you can see here sort of this relationship between classes and objects I've created. I used one class template to create 2 objects here, right? And these objects are it's basically data and functionality grouped together logically, right? And so even though these have the same, member variables, they contain different values that we can treat in the same way. What we did up here was for our entire class, we assigned one static variable as the NFL, because all teams, no matter what team we create, it's going to be in the NFL. So we've created one static variable that applies to any team. We've created 2 teams. In our print method, we've done the same exact thing where we're accessing our static variable here and then our member variables throughout the running of the program. Inside of our class, we have an array list of the record, which is just a series of wins and losses, And so in our print method, we use a for loop or a for each loop to loop through each entry in our record and print it out. And so what that results in is kind of a good rundown of the team's sort of rank and place in the NFL, the National Football League. So you'll notice, though, that I wrote this code one time, right? And I just used it I filled it in here. And the code is actually very clean and it's easy to read, right? Versus if I didn't use our method and I, didn't use a class, I would have to write this stuff over and over again. I can just call print once on each object, and it prints everything out. And you can kind of see this one-to-many relationship and how this is powerful. You create a type by creating a class, right? A class defines a type. And then you use that type, in this case it's team, to create variables, essentially to create objects, right? And in those objects, we have member variables and functionality that are logically grouped. We also have static variables that apply to the whole class. It's on the level of the class, whereas member variables like this are on the level of the object. So that's your example of classes and objects in Java. I hope you learned something. Thanks.